represent to them is freedom.
My name is Laura Silverstone and I live in a camper van in Portobello Beach. I've been living in my van for about 4 years, on and off. I've been living in vehicles for about 5 years, and I've been in Scotland for 5 years, 6 years, 7 years in the UK. I went on holiday in the Isle of Skye. I absolutely fell in love with the place. I met a stranger. We were having this really deep conversation, and I was saying I'd love to live in a place like this. And he was telling me that why not? When I started coming up with all these reasons why I couldn't. And he looked at me in the eye and he was like, you know, all of those are just excuses. If you really want to, you will. As soon as I got back to Manchester, which is where I was living at the time, I started looking for jobs, and I found a really good job offer to work in a Michelin-starred restaurant as a chef. I sent an application and I got accepted. Housing in there wasn't particularly easy, so I ended up living in a caravan, and very happy to be in a caravan because my situation wasn't the best. And once I was there, I started to realize that I was just outside, like outdoors and in nature, and I started to feel a lot more connected. And I remember thinking, if I could just move this anytime and go somewhere sunny. So then I worked on my driving license, I found a van and hit the road, and the rest is history. So this is Uber. This is my first ever vehicle in my van, and I got this in 2016, I think. Got it as an empty van, and I didn't even know how to use a drill bag at the time, so I was kind of like, what's this? How do I get started? It's a bare van. My best friend was there, kind of like, you see this thing? It's called a drill bit. You put it in a drill, make a hole, and then you screw the thing on. And I was like, and then I just used kind of common sense. I got a thing done, got my name on it, because it's definitely a dude. I was reading a novel by Bernard Cornwell called The Saxon Stories, and they speak about a very famous Viking character who's called Uba, and just basically as a Viking conqueror that pretty much almost conquered the whole of Britain. So it's kind of like, sounds like the right name for a big chunky van, you know. Yeah. Well, I've seen a lot of the UK in it for sure. I've seen a lot of Europe in it as well. So to me, it's just like a nice boyfriend. You know, you need a boyfriend when you have a big woke camper van that takes you everywhere. I never imagined myself living like this until I moved to Skye and I met a lot of people doing it. And then life kind of just went like everywhere in all sorts of directions. I ended up living in Switzerland for a time, and then coming back to Scotland, and then recording an album and touring, and then I met somebody and we decided to kind of settle, and I moved into a flat, and that didn't last very long, and I was back in the van again, and it just feels like my life was going that way, and I all of a sudden started living in vehicles, and it went that way. This is the kitchen, grill and oven and all of that, and then there's loads of storage, dodgy cupboards that you have to push up so that they close. My best friend, the Velcro, and some more stuff, loads of memories as well. Like this is my best friend Kevin, and he lives in a boat. This is the first time I ever lifted a vehicle, which is a caravan, when I lived up in the sky. And some pictures of Scotland and friends, and this is a nice picture a friend took of me. It's here in Portobello. When I first started trying to make a living from music, which was always my dream, I never thought of the van as the path, what was going to pave that path. But actually it was really helpful because it was like, oh, I'm never going to make enough money to pay for rent or like council tax and this and that. And then I was like, I could just live in my van, right? Because I have a van that's ready to live in it. And I kind of did that because I didn't have any other option and I couldn't find myself otherwise. And the gigs is just like, it's perfect because they pay for my food. And I think it's one of the big things about living in a van that you work in different things. You work on yourself and your environment and making your place nice. Everything takes a little bit longer, but also you don't have to work as many hours for somebody else to make cash to then pay for your bills because there's little bills to pay really. But yeah, it's a bit more of like working on being able to live this life instead of like working loads to then come home to get everything done really quick because everything is really facilitated already for you, and then so that you can go to sleep and then repeat, and you learn to be more than anything just like self-sufficient, which I think is also a really positive thing. I've had this conversation before where people ask me, do you see yourself doing this for the rest of your life? And it's the same as a musician. My mom's always like, do you see yourself at 65 playing in pubs? And I'm like, I don't know. I am 24. This is what makes me happy right now. And when it stops making me happy, then I'll have to think about the solution. But if it's not broken, then I don't have to fix it. And when I do elderly care, don't mention it. Because I know there is a lot of sort of preconceived thoughts on people that live like this. And sometimes it's really hard to explain to them that it's a choice and it's not because you're broke. And then the amazing thing is like, they actually do love the van because I have driven into work a couple of times and they're like, oh, can we see the van and this, or you should take us out for a ride and and then I tell them stories about traveling to like Germany or Italy or Portugal or whatever, and they're fascinated about it. But if you just went and click that button where you say, actually I live in this van, they will go like, what? Or I guess that's the impression that I get, and I'm aware that wherever you go, you get that reaction from people where you'll open the door in the morning and there'll be somebody walking their dog, and you'll be like, good morning, and they'll be like, and walk away. And I remember my ex-partner and I lived in the van for a time together, and he was a teacher, he had a steady job, he had like his life pretty much sorted, and he would turn at me and be like, what's wrong with them? And I think more than, the judgment of whatever ethnic group you belong to or historically what people used to do living in caravans, I think people are scared of different. No matter how different or different in what terms, just different.
Darling, you're the one who's broke the law.
I don't think so.
Oh, I do think so now.
Oh, aye.
Like if they don't understand the language, they get, ooh, I don't know these people, or I don't feel comfortable. And if they don't understand your lifestyle or why you're doing something, it's kind of like, oh, that's different, I don't like it. So I think that for quite some people, it's just like, oh, who are these people? What are they doing here? Why do they not live in a flat? Where are they from? That's what it is. You can't always be understood. I came here just to like contemplate the sea all day long, and I absolutely fell in love with the people that stay here, and yeah, this just feels like home now.